All right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the edition of the Uper Farmer Cigar Garage Talks. That's right, we're back in the garage. Little unfortunate, the weather today is not nice. There would be a plethora of wind pollution going on, a lot of background noise having to deal with. This is 4th of July weekend I'm recording this on. So we have neighbors, we have lawnmowers, we have fireworks, and it's really, really cold and windy today outside. So, in the garage, keeping safe from the elements, smoking a cigar. Before we get to the topic, what are we drinking, what are we smoking? Oh, and I'm sorry, homeschooling mama is not here to join me. I know, sad, but she has grading to do for her classes. She's got to grade some paperwork. Baby boy is being kind of a pain at the tuchus. And July is a very, very, very busy month for us. So a lot of prep work and planning and paperwork and stuff that needs to be done. So again, what are we drinking? What are we smoking? We are smoking from Oscar Valderas 2012 Maya themed cigar. This one has been on the channel. We really like Oscar Valderas on this channel. We like Oscar Valderas. Smoked quite a few of his cigars throughout the years. I actually look them out if I go to different cigar shops and whatnot, and I kind of just need a good, solid, won't fail smoke. One of the top 3 cigars I'll look for are cigars by Oscar Valderas. The 2012 is a delicious box press, dark Maduro wrapper, very good cigar. For the beer, we're going to try something new, something old, something new. Trail Treats, blueberries. If any of you guys have ever been in the UP, especially the east or western northern UP, the Keweenaw Peninsula, up into the Marquette area, you'll know that blueberries are rampant up there. And I have called them trail treats. You're backpacking, hiking, getting hungry, you want something, but you don't exactly want to break into your gorp, your trail mix, whatever else is there. There's a lot of treb in the bottom of this. I got a pure blueberry shot. That was kind of cool. This might have been the bottom of the barrel. Let's give her a try here. Take a look at that. If I had something to pour that into, I'd pour it because there's a lot of the blueberry treb on the bottom of this beer, which is going to be interesting. Okay, not a huge fan of blueberry. I'm liking that. That is tasty. I might be picking a couple more of those up. That is tasty. That's smooth. That's delicious. Yeah, Upper Hand Brewery. It's our brewery here. Well done, Upper Hand. Yeah, just a blueberry beer. Nice. It's not an IPA. It's a lager. Not severely hopped up. Not grained up. I like it. Good job, Upper Hand. I will go pick up some more of those. I do enjoy that. So anyway, on to the actual video topic. Done with the pleasantries. Time to get angry. So as many of you know, I am a state of Michigan employee. I won't say the division. I won't say where I work. But I work for the state. And if you may have heard in the news, Trump's big, beautiful bill passed. Now, as a result of mismanagement from my state, we have a dependency on federal dollars to stay afloat. So as a result, I will probably be losing my job. Yep, go ahead, cry, get emotional, get upset. First off, I was totally for the big, beautiful bill. The triple B, as we'll probably call it here, because I get tired of saying that long title of it. I'm actually for it. I do believe in the tax cuts. I believe in preserving the tax cuts that Trump put in his first year in office. I'm between minds on the Medicaid one. I do believe that there should be a work requirement. I just think 10 hours a week, a total of 40 hours a month was more reasonable than 80. But I get where they're going. I don't disagree with it. That there had to be a work requirement. The hour, I think 80 was a little high, in my opinion. Not insurmountable. Again, this is per family, if I read the bill correctly. It's per family. So, I mean, like, you can split that between 4 people, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. You now have your 80 hours a month of hours. Again, I think I would have hit it more towards the 40 mark, but that's just me. I didn't write the bill. But as a result, Michigan believes they are going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, if not into the billions range, or $1 billion in funding. As such, they are going to have to cut deep. And I mean, I guess we could get into like how they don't actually have to cut budgets and staffing and people if they just comply with the new standards for Medicaid reimbursement. Because, spoiler alert, how Medicaid works, and this is where the most of the dollars are coming from, the state pays for the medical bill. If it's covered by, if they deem it covered by Medicaid, they then submit that to the federal government, who gives them the money back. All right, got to change hands here a few times. Well, where they're saying this budget shortfall is going to come in is Michigan is not going to require people to, is not going to enforce the work requirement. Well, what'll happen is when they go to submit their paperwork to the federal government, they'll say, okay, how many of these people worked 80 hours this month? Well, only half of them. Okay, well, we're only paying you for, reimbursing you for half the expenses. So where does the other half come from? It comes right out of the general fund. And that becomes a problem because you then have to cover that by cutting funding other places. We were told, yep, this is not going to be like, well, we're just not going to have you do travel, or everyone has to take a bank day, they call them, where you work 5 days a week, but you only get paid for 4. So on and so forth. They've come on and said there will be positions cut. Okay, this is not my first time dealing with budget cuts and budgetary matters. Again, I've dealt with this many times before. I do know that it's a good chance it could just be political. This could just be chest beating and brow beating and woe is me, we're going to cut these positions. Then suddenly in the 7th hour, we find funding. Okay, could be. What do I have a problem with is my management. Going all the way up my bureau, in the division, so on and so forth. They are really poorly mismanaging this, causing undue stress, undue tension. And in my opinion, someone I think might be intentional, someone is just, they're stupid. I've said this before, I work for a feel-good department. We don't do good, we make people feel good. We get them information, we get them knowledge, we spread messages, but we don't fix problems, right? We don't make things better, we just make you feel better about it. What I do believe, that must be so animated talking that I forgot to keep my cigar going. And I believe that's how our managers are approaching this situation of potentially having to fire a few thousand people. They want everyone to feel good instead of doing good. So instead of telling us, here's our criteria. If we have X amount of dollars cut, here's the programs and units we're going to make cuts to. So they came out, they said, we have this tier system, 0 through 3. 0 is, by law, positions that are services they have to cover. They have no choice. There's a law that says there must be that position. Okay, cool. Then they have, so tier 0s, they can't get fired. That's just not possible. If they get fired, that means the state government shut down. There's tier ones who offer essential services deemed necessary for public health. So, and they didn't give many examples of these. So those are the essential things that we know are going to benefit the Michigan population. One of the ones they did mention was we have a disease monitoring system. So the people who run that system can give heads up to hospitals if there's a spike in diseases. They say that service is deemed necessary. Tier 2s are the ones that support Tier 1s. But again, although they could do their job without it, they find that it is easier and makes the goal of the Tier 1s more efficient. So they gave the example for the disease monitoring system, having on-staff epidemiologists. So guys who can look at the numbers, look at the facts, look at the data. Having those guys on staff makes the Tier 1 a lot easier. And then they said, then there's Tier 3, which are all the services that cannot be related to Tier 1 or Tier 2. So I asked a very intelligent question. When can I know my classification? Is it 1, 2, or 3? And they try to give the DC, the Lansing answer of, oh, well, we're not classifying per person. You should know it's position, and, it's all up in the air. And like, okay, well, then what's my unit classified, 1, 2, or 3? Oh, we don't know. We're not going to tell you. I'm like, well, when am I going to know? Give me a timeline. We're not going to tell you that. Okay, folks, so this is the problem. If you are all managers out there at any kind, by not telling us stuff that we already know, or at least stuff we assume you should know, you cause us to, 1, come up with conspiracy theories, or 2, search out alternative information. Now, I knew these cuts were coming, and I actually, 2 weeks before I found out about them, through an alternative means, I asked my boss, I said, can you please keep us up to date on all rumors? And she swore, when I know something, you're going to know it. Okay. I'll trust you for now. Well, that was a lie. And how can I tell it's a lie? So Homeschooling Mama actually applied for a position in our unit. And she got, or in our sector, I guess. Our sector. She got a letter saying, we're sorry, we're no longer filling this position. Well, I knew that position we deemed kind of necessity. Like, it was a one that we should probably have filled. So during an all-sector meeting, I called my boss out. I said, hey, you tell me things are going to be fine, but yet, are we in a hiring freeze? Because I found out we're not filling so-and-so's position. And you could have heard a pin drop. The manager's like, well, we did talk to a few of you about it directly, but, we really didn't want to talk to everyone. Okay. You now knew that there was going to be a hiring freeze. And hiring freezes you only do when you're looking at layoffs. Yes, you talked to the few staff members who applied for that position, because it's a pretty good position, but did not take into account that some spouses might have applied. So I found out through a third source, my wife, that we're currently in a hiring freeze. And then they finally admitted, yes, we're in a hiring freeze. Okay, well, that's a bad sign. Well, we didn't want to tell everyone just yet. Again, you knew a rumor. You knew something first, and you're not sharing it. So now I, as an employee, don't believe I can trust what you're saying or what you're telling me. Or I take what you're telling me and make it 2 degrees worse. So if you tell me you're going to cut 100 people, I'm going to think you're going to cut somewhere around 500 people. If you tell me we're fully funded till October, I'm going to assume we barely have funding up until September. Because again, if you're not going to tell me the rumors, what you're hearing, and this was proven time and time again, it is better to keep your employees to confirm, deny rumors, and be truthful with them. Maybe you don't know. You know what, this could be a rumor, we don't know yet. We'll let you know as soon as we do. But yes, the rumor is that we have a hiring freeze. That rumor is 100% true. Good. Let me know. I'm a big boy. This gives me information. How hard should we be looking for a job? How quickly should we be looking to jump ship? That's why I asked, what level am I in? 1, 2, or 3? What tier? Sorry, what tier I'm in? 1, 2, or 3. I know I'm not 0, and I'm pretty sure I'm not 1. Am I in tier 2 or tier 3? Because if I'm in tier 2, I'll hang around. If I'm in tier 3, I might start to desperately look for something, anything, because I don't want to be caught with my proverbial pants down. I want to know what's coming down the pipes, and I want to be ready for it. But by telling people and it really was, it was one meeting, oh, it's not that bad. The next meeting with a different director, they're like, wow, it's all hands on deck, life sucks, we're all going to die. Shutting this place down, let's go put a for sale sign on our offices, we're selling everything. And again, tones change, attitudes change, and people pick up on that. I took, crisis management communications training, or crisis communications training. There you go. What to say in a crisis. So shit's blowing up. What do you say? What don't you say? And one of the things they really press on is don't wait to have all the facts in before you make a statement. Because you want to be timely. You want people to go to you for the information instead of rumor mills. Because in the vacuum of information, someone will fill it. Whether that's someone creating false rumors or malicious rumors online, whether that's a less than reputable source, or whether that is just the mind of the person who is affected by this crisis. So in my mind, I might be thinking, God, they're going to cut like 5,000 people. I better, cut, ship, and run, cut, line, and run. I better, maybe I'm going to do less work. A lot of people right now in my team actually are even saying, I'm just going to put in the minimum amount of effort. I'm not going to have a job come October or sooner. Why do anything? I'm just going to sit here, cash a paycheck until until I until I get the notice. It takes them 3 to 6 months to fire me, so yeah, might as well. It takes forever to fire someone, so might as well write it out. Just cash the check. You work on you, take interviews, take extra jobs. And what happens if you don't get fired? Well, then you just throw yourself on your sword and ask for mercy that, you're just stressed out. You want to feel good again. So please give me give me another chance. And they will. Again, unfortunately, everyone in management doesn't want to make the tough calls. They don't want to make the tough announcements, the tough decisions, and they definitely don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Well, I'm sorry, hun. Every one of these managers will still be there. And that's one of the things I kind of am very frustrated. I'll get into my biggest frustration here in a second. They'll all still be there. Even if they cut 5,000 people, they will not cut managers, supervisors. They'll stay. They'll get transferred into the other jobs. Meanwhile, everyone under them are the ones who are going to suffer. When you become a manager and you start making the big boy and girl money, the really good money, that comes with a responsibility. And that responsibility is having to tell people bad news. That responsibility is having to be the bearer of bad news. Be the person that everyone hates. To make the hard decisions for the better of the company. Not hide in a corner and hope it all goes away and makes it all better. Someone else can make this better. No. Your job is to put on your big boy and girl pants and make the tough calls, make the tough decisions, and realize, yes, people are going to be hurt. People are not going to like what you have to say, but it has to be said. It has to be done. No one else can do it but you. So that's what it means to be a good manager. To make those tough calls, those tough choices. That's what you're getting paid for. One of the biggest travesties. So last Tuesday, we had a big meeting, an all-call meeting, where they broke a lot of this big news to us, and it was my boss's 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 boss type thing who was doing the meeting, and she was telling us how they're going to vote on the triple B. That was kind of what they're when we asked about specifically about can you give us an idea of when we're going to know our designation? They did the song and dance of, well, until the big beautiful bill passes, we won't know anything. Well, they knew it was going to pass on Thursday. I'm sorry, I knew it was going to pass. Everyone knew it was going to pass. It was pretty much a done deal. It was just, what was the final wording going to be? Well, we pretty much knew what it was going to be on Wednesday, but regardless, we knew the final version would be passed by the House on Thursday. So what did the management team do? The ones who get paid the big bucks, the ones who are guaranteed to have a job. I kid you not, every single manager and supervisor going up the chain took Thursday before the 4th of July off. They took July 3rd off. So now there's no one to answer questions. There's no one to talk to. And oh yeah, no one around to start planning, to start actually putting rubber to road. Had this been good managers who, instead of want to make people feel good, they want to do good, they would have canceled their 4th of July plans. Again, they're guaranteed a position. They're guaranteed a job. We, on the other hand, the plebs under them, are not. So what do I expect for them to do? To work overtime. Even if it's not getting paid. Work overtime to get the answers and solutions now that you have the facts. Yeah, it's not fun. Yeah, you know what? Some of us in EMS and other service professions, that's what we do on a daily basis. We work those extra hours to make sure stuff gets done. And unfortunately, a lot of these managers don't know what that means. They don't know what it means to go that extra mile and sacrifice for yourself to help your employee or your employers, the people under you, your subordinates. In many of my positions, I've worked ones where we had good, solid managers who, maybe they couldn't solve the problem, but they were going to put in the time and effort to be there if they could. I remember in one of them, I worked for a health department, and we had an incident come up. There wasn't much upper management could do, but they knew I was going to be working all weekend, and I might need them to make some decisions during the weekend. Now they had the full right to say, hey, the weekends are mine, I'm off. But instead, and I have a lot of respect for the few individuals, the few managers who did this, they said, look, we are going to, one, have our cell phones on ring. Yeah, we have life going on, but if you need us, call and we'll drop everything and we'll rush over to make the big decisions, the big choices to support you. But more than that, because they knew I would be actually in meetings and discussions and planning sessions, they themselves, I think the hours like 11 to 1. Don't quote me on that one. I forget the exact. It was during the afternoon, near lunch, because I think they ate their lunch together. Essentially, they met. I then, if I was available, took a few minutes to talk to them, to give them a situational update, and then the only question they had for me, the only criticism, the only question, they didn't criticize anything. The only question is there something right now or in the near future that we, as the management team, need to act on? And as I told them, no, I don't think there's going to be anything till Monday. I told them, due to what the incident, we couldn't find anything out till Monday. But they said, okay, we're going to meet on Saturday, we're going to meet on Sunday, and then we'll see, we'll be there at 7 a.m., Monday morning. It was like an hour before they opened. They were going to be there. I didn't have to show up. I could show up at 8. I said if I wanted to, since I had to work all weekend, show up at 9. But they were going to be there early, monitoring the situation. But if I needed something done before business hours start, they would be there, and they'd be ready to take my call. And sure as shit, they were. I did actually show up at, I think, 7:15, 7:30. I mean, I'm a good employee. I'm not great. And there they were in the boardroom. They ordered in breakfast. They were kind of felt bad. They didn't know I was coming in. They would have gotten me breakfast. I, I'm not a huge breakfast fan. I think I did come with McDonald's though. With like 3 cups of coffee in my hand too for me. They were my coffees. Don't get me wrong. But they asked, am I ready for a situational update? I said, sure. They said, if you're not, like, take as much time as you need. But I gave them a situational update. I told my plan for the day. They said, well, when is a decision needed to be made that we are going to have to be involved in? I said, well, 4 o'clock. Okay, we'll reconvene at 3:30. So 4 o'clock came. We made the decision. Job done. That's what a manager should do. I'm willing to put myself out for my subordinates. I'm willing to go that extra mile. I'm willing to give up family time and vacation to give you a peace of mind. What should have happened? They should have met all weekend long. Friday or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday. Again, they're getting paid big bucks to make these decisions, and they decided they needed a mental health day and needed to go home early. Well, guess what? I need a money day where I know I'm going to get paid. So you don't get to go home early. You get to get in there and do your job. But that is not the management culture for the state of Michigan. At least not in my bureau sector, whatever you want to call it. They all took off. They all took an extra day off. We got off on Thursday. So now they're going to be probably meeting Monday, Tuesday, not available, skipping meetings, canceling meetings Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Maybe we'll get something Wednesday, probably Thursday. Chances are, because I know this crew and how the state works, Friday at 5:03, when we are all signing off and done for the day, they'll send something out. So they don't have to deal with it until Monday morning. They don't have to have angry people calling them. So folks, if you're a manager, you're training to be a manager, remember you're getting paid to make the tough calls. You're getting paid to be the bad guy. You're getting paid to have this work stress and shit dumped on you. So live up to your paycheck. If you can't, give it up. Because pretty much anytime there's a layoff or a funding cuts, it's not the managers who suffer. It's people under them. So step up, put in the extra time. Trust me, if those managers would have put in a weekend's worth of work, I know a number of team members who would have put in the extra work until these layoffs happen. But right now, if they're not willing to put, they're willing, they want more time off, then why should we care? Why should we do 100% if they won't put in their 100%? Remember, your employees will not exceed what you do. They'll match your expectations and they'll match your effort. If you only put in 50% effort, better be ready for your employees to only put in 40%. They won't exceed you, they'll match you. Anyway, folks, I'm hoping I have a job. Enjoy my cigar while I've got them. Enjoy the beer while I have them. Who knows? Maybe come October, I'll be smoking Swisher Sweets and drinking some sort of light beer to cut costs on these videos. Hope it doesn't happen. If it does, though, folks, no, I'm still going to kick back in my garage and talk to the camera. Stay safe out there. See you on the next one.